Hello everyone, welcome to the Graystar2426 channel. Now, some of you may be wondering, a top 10 video? What is Gray doing? Well, I have been planning this for a little while, and by this I mean a brand new video series. It's just a basic top 10 series, nothing special, but I'm mainly trying to go through all of my playlists for my SiIvagunner rips, where all the favorites that I've gotten from my streams, I've been listening to them again and again, and I thought to myself, I wanted to rank them all. I mean, maybe one day I'll do a whole ranking of the entire playlist, but that's going to be far in the future, if at all. But I want to start small. So I spent a while categorizing all of my rips together, and I categorized them into a huge spreadsheet. Here, I'll show you a few pics of it while I'm talking, but it's this massive spreadsheet that I'm working through where I listed out the year and the jokes of it, the links, and I put them together to try to, see which ones I like the best. So this is the first video in that series where I'm going to start by going by year. So by complete year, basically. So the first completed year, obviously 2024 is not complete yet, but would be 2023. So I'm going to take all of the rips that are in my 2023 favorites playlist. Well, all of the rips that are in the playlist from 2023.
Get on with it.
And I'm going to be ranking them by order of my personal preference. Not by, any measurable instance, but just my personal opinions on which ones I like, and obviously that has all of my personal biases in it. So, yeah, you're probably gonna question some of these decisions, because there's so many rips. They upload so many rips on that channel in just a year. So it's gonna be impossible for me to listen to all of them. So I've probably only scratched the surface on how many I've actually listened to from that year. And no, I'm not going to listen to every single rip that came out in 2023. Maybe someday, but not today. So, there's a few factors that will play into my rankings. These factors are gonna be, one, the joke of the rip and how much it relates to me. The actual music that the rip is using as a base, whether that be from a game or something else. So the actual base of the rip. If I would listen to it unironically or not, that's a factor, but it doesn't have to be necessary. The effort put into it, like if I can tell if the editing's off the charts, and the impact the rip has on me personally in terms of like how it makes me feel, whether that be surprised or very, very angry. Keep in mind, I have no knowledge of music theory, so don't expect any hyper-detailed breakdown or looking at sheet music or anything like that. No, this is some random guy who just likes listening to the funny Siva rips. So we will take that into account, and I'm going to have to whittle down into a top 10 plus 3 honorable mentions. And that's how I'm going to do the format. If there aren't enough for 3, I won't do 3, but just because I haven't seen all of the rips.
Get on with it!
Alright, so now it's time we actually get started with the rips themselves. We'll start with the honorable mentions. We're going to have 3 of them. So the first honorable mention, before we even get into the top 10, is DJ Music Man beta version from Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Now, that's of course the title of the track, and the joke in the rip is You Got That by Halogen. Of course, it's a meme fame, but of course I can see why these two were put together, because they do mash along really well. It is kind of a headbanger, I will admit. There's not too much I have to say about it, but on the other hand, it does kind of remind me of those, like, weird thirst trap edits that you see people posting. And I don't really want to think about a DJ Music Man thirst trap edit. Someone's probably going to make that if they haven't already, and I don't like the thought of that.
Music Man!
Anyways, let's get on to honorable mention number 2. That's going to be Mad Mew PAL version from Undertale. Of course, I've never played Undertale before, but, I mean, I've seen plenty of Undertale rips, and I've heard plenty of music, because, of course, Toby Fox. Anyways, the joke is a combination of all these, like, brain rot Garten of Banban fan songs, and they're, like, mashed together YTPMV style. And they're kind of like those infamous fan songs, at least, or at least one of them is, because one of them is made by the same guy that did Story of Undertale. Everyone... Well, not everyone knows what that is. If you don't know what that is, I envy you. But, of course, there's a little bit of Story of Undertale in the rip as well, just as a nod to it. But, I am just a big fan of YTPMV style rips, because they always have a good amount of editing put into them. Jesus Christ, did you hear that lightning? Holy sh... Anyways, the ominous omen aside, yeah, I do appreciate the amount of editing that goes into YTPMV style rips, so that combined with the stupid inside jokes of all the really bad brain rot fan songs on YouTube that you see everywhere, yeah, it makes for a good combination. I do like that. Although I am confused by the Rickroll. There's a Rickroll partway through the rip, and it's like it's a good edited section, well edited. But I was confused why Rickroll was there in the first place. It didn't fit the theme. So I went on the wiki, and I found out that this is actually a sequel rip. I kind of forgot those were a thing, where it's the exact layout of the rip and the sources are like an evolution on a previous rip. Forgot the name of it. I'll put the name of it here. But this previous rip used similar jokes in the structure of the rip. It was also a YTP style rip as well, and it even had the same joke partway through the rip of like Rick Astley and another character going 1 out of 3 people are blank, and then one of them's like, well, I'm not blank, and I'm not either, and then they both look at the at the camera, look at you, so that joke was repeated in this rip as well. Anyway, I've spoken about this rip too long, it's just an honorable mention, so let's go on to number 3. Number 3 is Lancer in-game version from Deltarune. So the joke of this rip is Ruler of Everything by Tally Hall. In fact, I recently just watched a video explaining, like, someone breaking down the song itself and the meaning the song had. If I feel like it, I'll put a link to it somewhere, but it's besides the point. This is a simple melody swap rip, and I do still like it, even though it's simple, just because I like Ruler of Everything. You know, it's a big meme, it's been a meme for a while, and it's a good song. I don't listen to tons of Tally Hall stuff, only a handful of their songs. I need to listen to more. I'm a man of habit, unfortunately, so I don't really branch out to new stuff that often. That's why I like doing these streams. These SiIvagunner reaction streams are nice because they actually get me listening to new music, even if that music is SiIvagunner shitpost rips. But, yeah, so I've never played Undertale or Deltarune myself, but Toby Fox usually comes through with the good music as a base, and it's easy to make good rips on top of it because of that, so that's the reason why it's the number 3 slot on my honorable mentions. So now that those are done, let's get into the main 10. Alrighty, number 10 on my list of my top 10 is Paralyzer from Rock Band 4. So, the joke for this one is Pirate Island from Baby Felix Halloween. It, of course, references the Omori Boy the Pirate remix of that Omori Boy Make a Man Out of You webcomic meme that was a meme just 1 year back. Man, I am getting confused with time. But anyways, I was introduced to the Omori Boy meme by my stream itself, and I did enjoy that Pirate Island mix of the Omori Boy meme, of course, because editing, fun. And Paralyzer is a song I like as well, and it happens to be a big SiIvagunner meme as well. You see Paralyzer fairly often in a lot of rips. And it's, as for it being a good joke, you know, that's a good idea. I should make a top 10 for, like, my top 10 SiIvagunner jokes, because I have a few ideas for that, but we'll cross that bridge, or burn that bridge when we get to it. But anyways, I do think it is funny that SiIva uses Rock Band and Guitar Hero, you know, those games, as an excuse to make rips out of regular songs, because, of course, you gotta keep up the bit with it being SiIvagunner, unless it's the April Fool's event, we'll get to that. But, it's still nice to be able to use actual songs, so fan channels do it as well, but they have different methods. So anyways, that's number 10, and let's go on to number 9. So number 9 is going to be main theme, Enviyon on the mix, Five Nights at Freddy's. Of course, the title kind of has a bit of a joke in it as well, but the main joke of this rip is that it shoves a very popular FNAF Living Tombstone fan song into 3/4 time. So from the standard 4/4 into 3/4 time, using the song Lucid Dreamer from Touhou 16.5 Violet Detector. Now, get used to seeing Lucid Dreamer a lot in my videos, especially even in this video, because it's one of my favorite Touhou songs, because, of course, the time signature being a waltz is pretty funny, and apparently the SiIva team loves it too, because we're going to be seeing more of Lucid Dreamer in this list. Don't you worry, we will. So, even then, it's not hard to, because Zune, the person who makes the Touhou games and all the music by himself, the indie dev, he makes bangers as well. I mean, Zune and Toby Fox did interviews together where they, like, Toby Fox was inspired by Zune, so it's very easy to make good music using Touhou as a base, make good rips out of it, especially because Zune is a fan of using all these abnormal time signatures. Now, there's other rips that have that, we'll probably see more of that down the line as well, but Lucid Dreamer is one of the most popular ones to have that waltz time signature. And then again, taking an existing song and shoving it into 3/4 time when it's not 3/4 time is really funny. Like, seeing what they have to chop up in terms of squeezing parts of the lyrics or cutting them out to try to fit it into that package, and just listening to that finished product is actually hilarious. So, and if that's number 9, then I had to really think about this list. So let's go on to number 8. Number 8 on my top 10 is going to be Final Boss from LazyTown, the video game. Of course, not all the time there's actual games. I don't even know if that's an actual video game. I don't think it is, but if I'm wrong, I will be corrected. But I will say, of course, the joke of that is we are number 1, which is the obvious meme joke on the internet, as well as on the SiIvagunner channel. You see Wano everywhere. Wano being we are number 1, of course. Me just shortening it for brevity. You're going to see a lot of We Are Number 1 on this list as well, so be prepared for that. And with the joke, it's edited to where they took Wano, and instead of shoving it into a different time signature, they chopped it up into One-Winged Angel. Oh, Lord. Yeah, so, of course, when you see a very long rip, there's a good chance it's One-Winged Angel, so this one does not disappoint. A point of these One-Winged Angel rips being really long it means it's often too long for me to sit through the whole thing, but honestly, not the case with this rip, because somehow the instrumentation, like either the brass and the percussion, has a sort of rolling motion from We Are Number 1 that keeps, pushing me through the rip, keeps me headbanging, well, not full headbanging, but, like, listening actively to the rip through the whole thing, and then you get to the part that has the sentence mixing, the actual vocals itself, and it's a treat. I'm surprised that this wasn't an older rip, because to me this seems like One-Winged Angel and We Are Number 1 would be a rip they would have made years and years ago, but no, it's 2023. But either way, that gives me an excuse to put it in this playlist, this video, so that's just something for me to think about. Alrighty, we're gonna keep moving on here. So number 7 on my top 10 is Jurassic Meow in-game looping mix from Garten of Banban 4. Try saying that 5 times fast. But anyways, the song is from Garten of Banban, of course, the 4th one, because every game's got to be released in chapters nowadays. But the joke is actually 2 different songs from Death Grips, Tachyon and Guillotine. So I have heard those 2 songs before. I do like those 2 songs, but I haven't listened to a ton of Death Grips stuff. But I am well aware of those 2 songs specifically. Yes, so these songs do mesh well together, given that the song from Banban is high-energy boss music, and then, of course, Death Grips is Death Grips. But there's not really much I can say. It just fits together really well. High-energy rip, and I do appreciate it. And even this sort of knocking sound, I don't know what instrument that makes it, but that sort of... It's almost like a cowbell in a way, but that knocking sound. But yes, in general, it's an overall really solid rip, and I would say that one's a full sort of headbanging style rip. Trying to be too analytical with these. Anyway, number 6 is 1000 March from Pizza Tower. So, the joke on this one is Waters of Nazareth by Justice, and near the end, War by Edwin Starr. Of course, this is a SiIvagunner take on popular existing mashups of 1000 March, where it's, SiIvagunner's version of these very popular mashups. And I do love it. I like the other videos themselves, and then this rip, I like it as well, mainly because, well, one of the reasons is the trench whistle. I love the trench whistle. I don't think I've ever heard a trench whistle in any SiIvagunner rip. That's such a small thing to take notice of, but I don't know, it really helps sell it. And then on top of it, also that high energy and goes together well. Of course, that's why the rip was made. And it's one of those rips where you could show it to someone who hasn't heard any of the songs involved, and they wouldn't question it. Like it just sounds natural enough to where you could fool someone if they didn't know about any of the previous songs. But then again, like, who on the internet hasn't heard Waters of Nazareth at some point? They would recognize it. I will say putting the start of the war segment in that calmer bridge section of the rip in Thousand March does also work well, because then it builds it back up in intensity for the rest of the climax of the rip, and it's golden. It's golden, really. That's all I can say. We're on to number 5 now. Number 5 is All I Want in-game version from Crazy Taxi. Now, of course, the Offspring is great. Love me some Offspring. And the joke here is we are number 1. So, yeah, you got the instrumentation, you got the horns and everything with the backing, and even the horns cover the melody of All I Want while the Wano lyrics are going by. So that does provide a really good contrast, I would say. It helps along with the rip. Again, it is a simple rip, shout out to simple rips, but it doesn't really overstay its welcome. It's only less than 2 minutes long. So, in fact, I think I'm also going to do a video that's my top rips that are less than a minute long, but that's not the point. So, overall, you know, once the joke's out of the bag, you know what the joke is, but it's just short, sweet, to the point. And it's We Are Number 1, so any excuse for a We Are Number 1 rip is a good one. So, we are on to number 4 now, and number 4 is Dark Side of Fate OST version from Touhou 10 Mountain of Faith. So, this one is the joke being, You Don't Know You're Beautiful by One Direction. And this is also not the last time you will hear You Don't Know You're Beautiful on this list. I sound like a broken record. So this specifically makes for a really good fodder for this rip, because it's a 4/4 pop song, so it's easy to, you know, it's easy to turn those 4/4 pop songs into rips, because, you know, you can slap it on top of all sorts of things. And again, keep in mind that that's a 4/4 pop song. We'll get back to that later. Again, broken record. But keep that in mind going forward. So, as for the rip itself, my obvious Touhou bias does play a role. Love me my Touhou games, especially since this is Hina Kageyama's theme, and that's not a common yarn for SiIva to spin into a rip. Get it? Because it's Hina, and Hina's thing is that she likes to spin. She spins in the game. Anyway, y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, the last thing I'll mention about this rip is that the part where the rapid oh is like being strung into part of the lyric and incorporated into the actual instrumentation itself got a big chuckle out of me. I'll play a sample of that as well. And Dark Side of Fate being a very, like, sort of all over the place, sort of spastic song does help to make it a little bit more chaotic, and being chaotic is a fun thing for a SiIva rip to be. So that's all I have to say about that.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Alright, so now we are on to the top 3. And for number 3, we have Lucid Dreamer beta release from Touhou 16.5 Violet Detector. Now, look, it's Lucid Dreamer again. But the joke for this one is Big Time Rush by, well, Big Time Rush. Remember what I said about the SiIva team loving Lucid Dreamer? Well, here's another example, and guess what? It's a 4/4 pop song shoved into 3/4 time. Here it is. I do love hearing the ways that the vocals do get mutilated. I've said this before, but having to chop it up into fitting the swing time signature makes it easier to, like, headbang to, but not like traditional headbang, sort of like a swing, dun 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 dun. It's Lucid Dreamer, you get the point. But just having the actual Big Time Rush bits shoved into it, it's like kind of like chopping up a salad in a way. But just when I think I'm getting into the vibes of the rip, I then get jump scared by the ending. Let me just play a few seconds of it for you. So yeah, no, I didn't think I'd be putting anything MLP into this list. I'm not a fan, but yeah, it snuck its way in there, and I got completely jump scared and blindsided when I first listened to the rip, and I had to do a double take. So that's SiIva for you. SiIva will make you say, holy shit, and screw you in the same time. Anyways, let's get on to rip number 2. Number 2 is going to be Oh boy, Lucid Dreamer CD mix from Touhou 16.5 Violet Detector. I'm a broken record. Yeah, no, that was not a title error, it's another Lucid Dream rip. And the joke this time is, yet again, You Don't Know You're Beautiful by One Direction. It's the same song and dance as before, shoving a 4/4 pop song into 3/4 time. The SiIva team and I both obviously love this, we have the same tastes. And I will mention the slowdown, though, halfway through it works really well. Like, it has this, like, you know, calm section, this Eye of the Storm in the middle of the rip, and then it has that gradual build-up back to the full power at the end. I'll show you a clip.
Your hair gets me overwhelmed. Do when you smile at the ground, it ain't hard to tell.
And that also adds to the rip, but there's not much I can say with this rip that I haven't said with the other Lucid Dreamer rips. It's just I can't get enough of it. I eat it up like Jello, but when was the last time I ate Jello? That's a bad comparison. Anyways, that's all for number 2. Now we are on to number 1. So now we are at number 1. That is Yokai Disco Hell's Entrance World beta version from Mamorukun Curse. I think I mispronounced that, but whatever. So, the joke is, you guessed it, You Don't Know You're Beautiful by One Direction. Take a shot, 3rd time's the charm. But for this one, there's less time signature shenanigans, but instead, the whole power of this rip, the whole focus is the chorus. Once we actually build up to that main chorus section of Yokai Disco, that makes it. Because, you know, Yokai Disco is iconic in YouTube and YTPMV culture. It's been around for a long time. People have made all sorts of remixes. So, of course, that's where SiIva pulls out all the stops with the vocal editing. Here's a little bit of a sample of the beautiful chorus here. And building off that, like, I have to agree with one specific commenter. He says, the chorus works so well here, oh my god, direct quote. I can't add to it, that's all I have to say. Just, you have to hear it. I can't describe why it's so good, just listen to it. Look, I hope one day I can make vocal edits that sound that smooth. I actually have to get off my lazy butt and start, you know, learning more editing techniques so I can actually make decent content, but like, this is inspirational. Literally, in my case, inspirational for a number 1 rip. And that's that. That makes Yokai Disco beta version my favorite SiIvagunner rip of 2023. At least so far. Who knows, maybe I'll revisit it once I add and find more rips from later on. But anyways, we'll keep going down the other years in due time. I'll probably do 2022 next. There will also be other videos, like I said, that have non-year related themes, whether that be joke or length, that sort of thing. I've got a lot more sorting to do, because the actual, like, judging one rip against another is a little more difficult than I thought. Either way, I'm always looking for new rips to add to my favorites playlist, so if you're on the Discord, submit your favorite rips on the channel Discord in our recommendations channel, and tune into my SiIvagunner reaction live streams every week. The latest streams will be announced on the Discord as well. I'll try to get a more consistent schedule, but it depends on my full-time job needs and personal life stuff. You know the drill. But that's it for the video. I wanted to thank you all for watching. Go ahead and subscribe and like if you haven't, and I will see you all on the next one. Peace.